going to our guests for the balance of the broadcast with your questions on Agenda 21. We'll still go to Herb and Sam and Tim and people with her, because obviously everything ties into the UN global takeover. You can ask her perspective on it. But then after those callers, it'll just be calls on Agenda 21, which is the entire global governance program model using environmentalism as a way to have basically world government corporate zoning to shut down society and consolidate it. That's coming up in a moment. But I wanted to finish up with Mark in Florida, because I was shown this last week. I was already aware of the guy was a big libertarian, of the founder. I forget his name now. I've seen it for years. Our guys went to Switzerland and covered it this year and wrote about him. A big libertarian, the founder of PayPal and a bunch of other stuff. He made a super PAC, and then he's giving money to run ads for Ron Paul. And the guy's worth a couple $2 billion. The Bilderberg Group invites people that are globalist, and I think the guy is a globalist, but also people that aren't, that they're trying to co-op to the meetings and, you know, get them in there, especially technology. It's gone even out of international banking now, more towards technology, because that's where everything's going. But it's very simple. Gary Franchi's a 9/11 truther, and he started a super PAC that's been very successful. They're attacking Ron Paul because Gary Franchi's a truther. It's the same thing with this guy. I don't know all his deeds and all his activity. I don't like a lot of things PayPal does. But I understand this is a very sophisticated point, that the globalists want their own brand of laissez-faire capitalism, and they call it privatization, but that's where government just hands infrastructure that's already paid for and working over to private interests to loot it and to charge people more. That's basically IMF World Bank takeover doctrine. It's the heart of globalism. It's the heart of this economic colonialism or conquest through fraud. It's not free market, it's cronyism. And so there's a vein of libertarianism in that, kind of the Heritage Foundation type deal that isn't bona fide. But whether the guy's good or bad, and I don't overall think he's good being part of Bilderberg, it's not about Ron Paul. So I see this meme now. Don't vote for Ron Paul. Bilderbergs are funding him. Bilderberg, he's a Bilderberg. You know, he's a Mason, which isn't true. I've looked into it, but they just say it. Like they say I work for the Vatican. Folks, I'm a Protestant. Not bashing Catholics, though. But I come from famous Protestants on the Mayflower and the Protestants that founded Texas, the Ayers family, and raised Colonel Travis's family. I mean, it's on record. Go to the genealogy. I mean, I'm like, you know, back to Oliver Cromwell, folks, and they say I work for the Vatican. So they just make up. What people can do is develop their own made-up thing to get attention off of prominent people. Or they find wild connections, like they'll say, Alex filed a corporation in a big law firm in Austin that once, you know, filed a thing for a Brothman. I mean, I don't know, they just find 55 lawyers at a law firm, find a name, put Alex Jones in, and then search for names for somebody else of millions of things they've done over the years and go, oh, look, it's a proof, it's him. And that's what they do. But let's just say I'm the worst person since Judas Iscariot. Let's just say that for argument. I'm not. I'm a fire-breathing liberty lover who doesn't want to be a slave. But let's just say I'm bad. Let's get that out of the way. What are you going to do about the New World Order? What are you going to do about deadly vaccines, about GMOs in the food, about 9 out of 10 reactors leaking, Associated Press reports? Nobody cares about radiation now. EPA raises levels, says it's safe. What are you going to do about our country shutting down and the foreclosures and the depression and the bankers? Okay, look, I'm here trying to cover issues. I'm here trying to fight the New World Order. And the Cass-Sunstein model, I told you about this before they even admitted it, is to get us all fighting with each other. So anytime you just see a sloganeering and a term being used, it's started by operatives, parroted by weak-minded walnut brains. And that's my point. Now, I'm not mad at the caller bringing it up. It's just that when you really understand what's going on, it's very irritating. I mean, the whole system's against Ron Paul. They give him the least time. They demonize him. They attack him. They lie about him. They pull out the stops. You know he's good. Okay? I mean, it's that simple. He stands up for the Bill of Rights, Constitution, against the wars. And, of course, they're going to say that, okay? You know, he isn't Illuminati. He isn't a Mason. He doesn't work for the Bilderberg Group. I don't work for the Vatican. It's ridiculous. I've interviewed thousands of guests. They create lists of people I've had on that are Catholics. There are a lot of good friends that are Catholics. Well, Catholics aren't bad. I'm not going to get in this big fight. I just want liberty. I mean, this country's in so much trouble. I know the globalists want to get rid of our borders and all the rest of it, and that's part of their plan, so I'm against open borders because of that. But at the same time, I don't blame people under Agenda 21 in Mexico who had their land taken, forced up here for wanting to be here. They're good people. I mean, I'm way even getting past that, folks. It's all about the eugenics. It's all about we're being poisoned. I'm sorry. We're going to go to our guest, but I want the caller, Mark, to finish. You called in about this Bilderberg thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate your explanation. I think it's kind of helped with having to explain to my friends whenever they bring up that.
Okay, his phone cut out. Yeah, his phone dropped off. I think that's all done just to make it sound like some kind of big woo thing. Again, it's a super PAC. Adolf Hitler could be resurrected from the dead, and he could have a super PAC for Ron Paul. The Queen, well, I guess he couldn't because he's not a citizen. It's so simple that it won't be explained, okay? That's just the way it is. It's too simple, and it's mindless, and people love it, and it's a meme, and it's the guarantee it comes out of Cass Sunstein or somebody. Okay, let's go ahead and go to our guest for the next hour and 20 minutes. Rosa Corey is Executive Director of the Post-Sustainability Institute. She's a forensic commercial real estate appraiser specializing in eminent domain evaluation. Her 30 years of experience analyzing land use and property value enabled her to recognize the planning revolution sweeping the country. While fighting to stop a huge redevelopment project in her city, she researched the corporate, political, and financial interests behind it and found Agenda 21, impacting every aspect of our lives. UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. You said it, corporate fascism. But again, it's corporate globalism. People say fascism's only nationalistic. In the 30s and 40s it was. Fascism is mega corporations taking over your government and shutting down their competition, okay? That's what it is. The New World Order is a global fascist banking cartel takeover of the planet. Continuing here, UN Agenda 21 Sustainable Development is a corporate manipulation using the green mask of environmental concern to forward a globalist plan. Rosa speaks across the nation as a regular blogger on her website, Democrats Against UN Agenda 21. Both parties have been totally taken over by the globalists. That's why Mitt Romney supports Agenda 21, so does Obama. And the simplest boil down is, on Agenda 21, they shut down all the other coal plants that aren't owned by GE and a few other insiders, and then double or triple the power prices. And say it's for the earth. That's what you're seeing. That's one example of we're going to double, triple charge you, it's for the earth. They actually say that in Austin 2 weeks ago. It's for the earth. They increased it 40% last year. Now this year they say, depending on what type of you have, residential, business, church, nonprofit, 20 to 80% increase in 1 year. But the big Formula One globalist out there, he's actually getting a grant from the city and the construction paid for and tax breaks, and they're calling it environmental to build a race car track out in the woods and cut everything down. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. So she joins us. She's the author of the Green Mask, or Behind the Green Mask. It's available right now. Just went up on the shopping cart at Infowars.com, and it's a Bible to give. It's 180 pages or whatever to give people in your towns, your cities who don't understand what's happening. Even a lot of the minions at the city level don't know what's going on. Okay, Rosa, this show has some longer segments. You'll have some time to roll. I want you in this segment and the next to tell us how you woke up, the basics of Agenda 21, why the New York Times and others are coming out panicking, saying folks are waking up, how important this is, and then we're going to take an hour of calls from people and their questions across the country next hour. Rosa Corey, good to have you here with us.
Great, Alex. It's great to be with you. You know, I'd like to just start for 1 minute just by saying, yes, our website is Democrats Against UN, Agenda21.com. But, of course, this is not a left-right issue. It's not a Democrat-Republican issue. This is an issue for all Americans and all people in the world, because United Nations Agenda 21 is a globalist takeover plan. It's a plan that inventories and controls all resources, both human and natural, and all means of production in the world. It is the action plan for the 21st century, and that's what the United Nations calls it. So people who, of course, I get people who say, how can you call yourselves Democrats? Don't you know about the Democrats? Of course I do. The point is to show that this is a united fight. It's all Americans, and there's way too few people on the left. I'm a left liberal. There are way too few people who on the left who are aware that the environmental movement has been hijacked and is being manipulated. This is not an environmental protection plan. This plan is a plan to destroy everything that you value in your world. It's a way to take over your control of your land. And you know, when we talk about private property, this is a control of private property. It's a takeover. It's a movement of moving your private property from individuals into the mega corporations. And when you see that, you understand that you yourself are your ultimate private property. And this is a way to take control of your civil liberties as well. And tying in with what you said about the New York Times and other propaganda press doing what they can to destroy this movement of people who are waking up to United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development and trying to stop it. What's happening now is, of course, the press is attacking us viciously. I've had vicious articles written about me. All kinds of people are saying ridiculous things. And of course, the American Planning Association, which is vital to this movement to take over your land and your water use and your control of your property, they have put out a new communications boot camp. And it's a 12-week seminar on how to control and manage the press and how to reframe this issue, because they know people are waking up. So we need to stand up together. We can stop it, but we have to get rid of these minor issues. And I'm talking about the minor issues of who's a Democrat, who's a Republican, who's gay, who's straight, all these issues.
They use that as a football. They use that to distract us, and then people end up supporting Santorum over Ron Paul because, you know, he talks more about abortion when he intends to do nothing on the right, or people that are obsessed about the whole gay marriage thing instead of all the other huge things that are going on the left. I absolutely agree, but let me just add this to what you're saying. The fact that they're attacking shows that we're having an effect, A. B, Al Gore's been discredited. Schwarzenegger pushing this has been discredited. They're in trouble right now, and they've got the 20th anniversary of this Agenda 21, as you know, about to happen back in Rio again. But this is about private property. If they openly come out and say, we're going to take your private property, people would say no, but they call it environmental. And we see it now where you can't build a barn. They've got drones watching the farmers. I mean, this is the Rural Council of Obama. That's right out of Agenda 21. Please continue with the things it's doing to people, the plans of Agenda 21.
Yeah, well, you said it. You know, the White House Council, the White House Rural Council, which was established by executive order by President Obama, is modeled on the President's Council for Sustainable Development, which was created to instate United Nations Agenda 21 in the United States. Agenda 21, the agenda for the 21st century, it's also called Sustainable Development. It was an agreement. It was signed on to by George H.W. Bush and 178 other national leaders back in 1992. And, you know, you're going to see in the press that, oh, this is an old plan. It was non-binding. It doesn't matter. But the truth is that they brought it right back into every single nation and they instated it. It's the action plan for sustainable development. And it is, you're seeing it now because it has been a stealth plan over the last 20 years. And they're in the end game now. And that's why we need to, you know, drop our nonsense, our minor issues, and get together across the world and fight this. And we can win. We can do it because it's a global plan, but it's implemented locally.
Well, the elites have put out memos, like you said, and I'm not saying some of these issues aren't important, but they call them footballs. They throw them out so that the system can agree on global government, the whole fascist system, and they admit it. But going back to the UN, as you point out, they admit this is the global plan. They admit it's a post-industrial world to shut off people's resources, so you have to go to government and be dependent so you can be socially engineered. But also part of Agenda 21 and UNESCO is global standardization of law enforcement, federalizing, and in England's already done this. Now the U.S. is adopting a quasi-cop near minimum wage